Hi, I'm Eleanor, and welcome to this week's edition of the Intuition Lab podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about how your nervous system can regulate itself when you trust your intuition. And I'm thinking of calling this fight, flight, or meditate. And let's just get into it. So, what are the costs of having a dysregulated nervous system? I know it's a popular buzzword these days, but it does have really intense effects on your day-to-day life and your relationships. So, one cost of a dysregulated nervous system is the constant fighting of internal battles, and these are a huge distraction from your present life. This is what happens when you had an argument with someone or someone said something to you and you didn't have the perfect words in that moment to shut them down completely. And now you're retelling the tale and refighting the battle over and over in your head, sometimes decades later. Ask me how I know. A second way you can have a dysregulated nervous system and it can sort of drastically affect your life is in the quality of your relationships. You spend so much time guessing at other people's emotions, dumping your frustrations on them, making other people responsible for your well-being, or you assuming responsibility for theirs, and just having poor attachment patterns, anxious, avoidant, a combination of the two, and it really gets in the way of you having the types of relationships that you want. Third, you probably experience inappropriate reactivity. You're in a state of perpetual outrage or insult. And I'm not going to wholly blame anyone because I believe media and internet algorithms are often designed to keep us in a state of perpetual outrage or insult. But when you live in this space, you miss what really deserves your attention, energy, and focus. And therefore, you become scattered. You have poor focus, lack of attention to what really matters in life, what really will, quote, move that needle forward for you. You might find that you're not accomplishing anything you want to, and you have a feeling of just going nowhere, spinning your wheels for years, years on end. And you neglect yourself because you're just torn in 10,000 different directions. And finally, a dysregulated nervous system can lead you to actual physical impairment, be it sickness, physical or mental illness, fatigue, carelessness of your physical environment that leads to injury, and just maladaptive coping strategies. Mine has been overeating, other people use various substances, they over or under exercise, they spend too much money, they spend too much time on certain websites. These are all maladaptive coping strategies that you might be using to try to get your nervous system back into balance. So, knowing that, how can we use our intuition to regulate our nervous system? So, I'm going to break this into two chunks to start. You being too stressed to hear your intuition, and you being stressed but still being able to hear it. So, if you are too stressed to hear your intuition, improve your vagal tone. And I'm not a neuroscientist, and there's tons of content out there about vagal tone, and I would really recommend you do an online search about it. But in essence, at least from my viewpoint, when you improve your vagal tone, you are more readily able to get back into your energetic five state. And I discuss this in detail in episode 4 of this podcast, but it's that sort of flow state where creation happens, where good things happen, where you feel completely at ease, but still able to respond and be an active participant in your own life. So, everything I'm going to recommend is in the service of getting back to this state. So, one is box breathing, where I'm going to do it a little here, where you inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, slowly exhale, and then hold that exhale for a count of 4. And you repeat that until you feel a marked improvement. And some people take it further, like you inhale for 4, exhale for 6 or 8. The pauses are longer. But I think 4, 4, 4, and 4 is an excellent way to get started with this practice. Also, cold exposure. Now, I don't think I'll ever take a full on cold plunge willingly, but cold water on your face, running cold water on your hands if you feel like you are just running away from yourself. Or if you're in the shower, you can go to tepid to full on cold if you want for, a quick blast. And I find that can help ground and recenter me. Hum or gargle. Apparently, engaging your vocal cords helps to improve your vagal tone. And it could just be tuneless humming. I would say maybe singing along a little with no pressure to something, gargling with water. I wouldn't try doing it dry. That can help. Walking, like a regular walking practice, or light jogging, if that's your thing, it can help just reinsert you in your body and just take your mind off of whatever it is you've been stressing over. Somatic exercises like yoga, mindfully done Pilates, and mindfully done yoga too, though that's supposed to be redundant. It isn't, sadly. Stretching. I would even include, for me personally, weightlifting, because I find that I need to be very mindful with it because no one wants to drop, a dumbbell or a barbell on your foot or something. So, somatic exercises can really help. And this is just me personally adding it in. I find exercises where you cross your midline, like twisting your trunk, are really helpful for me. And I got this tip in a yoga class, and if I can figure out who I got this tip from, I will share it with you. But let's say you're doing something like a supine twist and your body's in one direction, your head's in another direction. Try turning your eyes in the direction of your body if your head is opposite to your body, or if your head is in the same on the same side as your body, then just turn your eyes to the other direction and hold for like 10, 15, 20 seconds. I find that to be very calming. I don't know the mechanism behind it. I believe there is a book that discusses this. And again, if I can find it, I will include it, but I would also just do a search on this. So that's one way to start to calm yourself down before you can engage your intuition. If you are in touch with your intuition despite the stress, then I would suggest that when you find your mind racing, introduce a pattern interrupt. So sometimes that is the cold water, right? Sometimes that is the breathing practice. But the pattern interrupt, I find when my thoughts race, or I feel like I am literally physically running away from myself, and I'm focused on an issue, I ask, is this important to me? Does this affect me? If not, then I ask my intuition to guide me to what matters. And if this is something that I need to act on, then what is my next best step? And another thing to do, even if you could meaningfully involve yourself in something, always ask yourself, is this your issue or is this someone else's? And again, along those lines, what do I need to know in this situation? Perhaps you are meant to help someone along their first couple of steps instead of jumping in and doing everything for them like you usually do, right? If it is a cause you feel strongly about, what is the best way for you to contribute rather than pushing yourself out of your comfort zone? I was going to say conflict zone, that could be part of it. Out of your comfort zone in a way where you are trying to act in a way that is not aligned with your particular skill or ability. Next, I would recommend, if you want to engage your intuition to help you figure out how to regulate, then learn to read your physical signs. Do you have a particular physical or emotional tell when you start to lose control? For me, it's this super excited feeling, but not excited in a good way. Like I get a surge of energy and then my thoughts just start to race. Like for me, that is a really strong indication that I am out of control. So if you can identify your physical or emotional tells, then you'll know when things are starting to get away from you. And as I alluded to this before, the next thing to know is, what is the appropriate action in this situation? Is this thing worth your outrage or strong emotion? Is this something you feel strongly about and refer to someone else? If this is your battle, so to speak, what's the right thing to do? And sometimes it's waiting or just doing nothing. When we try to superimpose our timing on divine timing, things often go terribly wrong or they are fraught with delays and misdirections. So know that sometimes the best action is doing nothing or biding your time. And while you're doing, quote, nothing, you are focusing on another issue that would be a better use of your time right now. Also, meditation. I meditate daily, and I think it is a great way to hear the information you're receiving from your higher self. You can sit in stillness like I do. Sometimes I do walking meditations, or whatever that looks like to you. And in the energetic five state, episode, and also an episode where I talk about, it's in my archives, how to best hear, how you particularly hear your intuition. Some people connect best when they are in physical motion, like running, or I wouldn't say playing a sport because that often engages you. Some people get the best insights in the shower or when they're doing dishes. You have to learn how you best connect and what puts you into that sort of flow state. Meditation for me is also a pattern interrupt because it forces me to clear my mind as best I can of worldly concerns and just focus on hearing myself and my guidance. Meditation is also a good thing to do if you are having trouble waiting. So, if you know the appropriate action is waiting when it comes to one particular situation, then meditation and prayer, I will add this as well, though I tend to view those two separately. Like prayer is sending a request to divine in my mind, and meditation is how you hear it. You can hear it in prayer, but I believe it's because you are entered into a meditative state. Um, it can be a great way to ask for patience and forbearance to go into a meditative state. And with practice, it it slows your hyperreactivity so that you can respond appropriately in the moment to something. I find that it also affects my energetic signature. So in the past, where I went into situations where people were unkind or unpleasant or rude, I find that when with regular meditation, I show up differently. And it isn't that I need to change so that they treat me better. It is that my energy reflects that you cannot treat me this way. And should anyone open their mouths in my particular situation or say something or do something, then you get that tiny bit of a pause, of like a separation between the stimulus and the action, so that your intuition can fill you in on what is the appropriate thing to do at that time. Do you need to fight? Do you need to flee? Is this something you need to meditate on? So now that I've talked a little bit about how you can engage your intuition, if you need to regulate your nervous system, I'm going to talk a little bit about how engaging your intuition actually helps you to re-regulate, and I'm going to use the examples that I spelt out in the costs section in the beginning of this episode. But in short, engaging your intuition helps you to see what's within your purview, what isn't, and what to do about it. And everything I mention after this is just going to be an iteration of that. So, let's say you're fighting internal battles. Usually you're fighting with things from the past, how you were wronged, fuming about things you honestly cannot change now. But intuition helps you to be in the right frame of mind in the moment. You can see what needs to be said or what needed to be said then, and be ready if or when the situation presents itself. You can also get new insight into that situation, which can be great for closure if you are not going to get it from the people involved in it. Also, in terms of relationships, when you engage your intuition and you self regulate, you spend less time, excuse me, discerning someone's motivations. You know if it's you or if it's them, or you know to keep your distance, basically. Okay, so I was talking about relationships. You know where you stand. You can also see your own BS clearly so that you know if it's something you need to work on or if it's something other people need to work on. You also know what you have to give and what other people can give you, and especially in terms of emotional security. So you're not looking for someone to do things so that you feel a certain way, that you feel safe, that you feel connected. If this is not something that they can give, your intuition will help you see this so you don't waste as much time on people in situations that are never going to give you what it is that you need. Next, in terms of reactivity, when you are using your intuition to regulate, you know when to react and when not to. So even if you start to say something, you'll get a message. It's like, no, this is not for you. Reel it back, bring it back in. You can find your own emotional five state faster, and you get insight into other people's motivations. Like, do they want you to react? Are they provoking you? What do they want you to do? Do they want you to have an outburst so they can paint you a certain way? When you are in tune with your intuition and it helps you to regulate, you get that space that you can see, oh, this person is pushing my buttons because they want to try to humiliate me, and I am not going to give that to them. This also helps you maintain and reinforce your boundaries. If you are a person who wants to be calm and collected in public, then your intuition will help you see, like, okay, this is deliberately engineered to upset someone. And you can reinforce your boundary by saying, well, I'm not going to consume this thing, this media, this event, this interaction that would encourage me to abandon my own boundaries. Next, you'll often have improved focus and achievement in life. All of that energy you've been wasting on personal battles, relationship drama, blowing up everything you see on the news or in a forwarded social media post that's probably AI slop, can now be funneled into your own life, interests, and purpose. And then it can help you to discern if this is something you actually need to take action on. I think many people have lost connection to their sense of purpose because in the past it came through more of a rigid social hierarchy. Well, that's breaking down now, and we use our intuition to tune in to what our true purpose is, or each person or individual path in life. Then we are going to be calmer, more regulated, able to handle what life brings our way because we know it is in line with our purpose. And finally, you can have enhanced physical and emotional health. You can have a reduced stress response if you're in a more relaxed, energetic five state. And we all know that chronic stress can lead to severe health outcomes. It can improve your mental health. So disclaimer, I'm not a doctor or a therapist, but I can tell you it has personally improved mine through less overthinking and emotional churn. It's helped me to make peace with some very unpleasant things that happened to me and just say, you know what? I don't have to focus on forgiveness or any of that. I think that's a whole episode on its own, right? But forgiveness, when forgiving the unforgivable. But I can just see it as something that happened and that I was strong and resilient enough to deal with. And I can just see it as a thing that happened instead of like a core identity, identity generating occurrence for me. And finally, when you are using your intuition to self regulate, you are rooted in the now. So you have an accurate view of reality. You're paying attention to where you're going, so you're not slipping over things. But when you are in the now, you can see the opportunities that are open to you. You can see people and situations as they are, and you spend less time building worlds and possible motivations for others in your head. So I hope this helps you get in tune with your intuition and how it can help you regulate your nervous system. And that's an ongoing thing for me. So I think I'm going to be doing more content around this. But if you need some help tapping into your intuition, or you want insight into this issue that's really been nagging you and causing you stress, I invite you to have a one-on-one chat session with me and just get the information and insight you need to break through your energetic and emotional log jams. And I also have some exciting workshops and in-person events coming up this fall, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. So if you sign up for my mailing list, you'll be kept in the loop. Until then, I am sending you so much love, peace, blessings, and calm. True, soul deep calm. So until next time, take good care. Bye now.